Hey folks, I've been chomping at the bit to get back here with you guys all day long on the Prepared Mind channel. You're not going to believe this. So a Pentagon spokesman says the Biden administration has no plans to help Americans who are hiding in Afghanistan right now. No plans to help them get to an airport and get evacuated. Right? So not only did he abandon them by pulling the military out, but now he's not going to send help. Folks, when I say shit has hit the fan, and we're talking whether it's economics or the law or everything, they've jacked it all up. It has hit the fan. But wait, there's more. Yes, at the Prepared Mind channel, we talk about everything having to do with what's going on in the world and what you can do to protect yourself. Whether we're talking about finance, whether we're talking about the law, education, your state, voting, medical, it doesn't matter what we're talking about, folks. We're here to talk about it all. And get this, folks. Let's see. The Arizona State Senate has launched the Voter ID Act. It is launched. So voter ID is required no matter how, when, where a ballot is cast. ID, identification, I needed to drive. ID, identification, I needed to buy a gun. ID, identification, I needed to buy alcohol. Maybe this is a good idea. Maybe people need ID to vote. One of the most sacred acts a citizen can take in support of self-governance, voting. Yeah, maybe ID is a good idea. Oh, hey, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel, guys. Hey, you want more? I've got more. Get your questions into Jolene. This is the Q&A, but I might go a little long. I couldn't believe how headline after headline piled up. There's a stack off the screen thick of things we need to discuss that just happened today, just since we spoke last. Shit's been going wild, folks. Now get this. Right? Taliban has taken over Afghanistan, and they have now called out Facebook as hypocrites because they were asked, folks, right? Taliban spokesman. It's interesting how these guys over in Taliban, they're as quick as Biden in getting someone out there as a spokesman. But the spokesman, Zabihullah Mujahid, held a press conference in Kabul, and he was asked if the new Afghani Islamic government would honor a concept known as freedom of speech. So he responded to the journalists by asking them the same thing of Facebook, right? He says, hey, this question should be asked of them. That's right, folks. So if Facebook censors people and the Taliban censors people based on their individual preferences to what is allowed or what is an allowable thought to be spoken or written, how can anyone in the world of big tech or big government anywhere in the world, including the United States of America, how can any of those dumb bastards criticize the Taliban? Because they're doing the same thing. They're censoring, they're saying that is allowed, that's not allowed, and it's absolutely incredible. Some wacko Bushman come out of the Rocky Hills of Afghanistan, is the spokesman, and hands the media their lunch right off the bat. That shows you how shallow, how weak big tech is, mainstream media is, our government up in DC. It shows you how weak they are. And it shows you how, shall we say, totalitarian, shall we say fascist, shall we say despotic and tyrannical they are, because they are doing nothing except what the Taliban does. And the Taliban are the bad guys. Our government, our tech, our media is doing the same fucking thing. Isn't that absolutely crap? I don't need to sensationalize this, folks. I am just whipped into a frenzy, right? The supposedly evil Taliban leader, spokesman, shows the liars and hypocrites their own ugly faces, held a mirror right up to them and said, "This is what you look like." Wow. And New Zealand is locked down, folks. Guess how many people have the cerveza? Locked down. Expect it, folks. Expect it. They're gonna try it everywhere in the world, everywhere they can get away with it. It is only if you decide, folks, it is only if you decide you don't want it that it won't affect you, right? Because people start when they have something happen to them that they don't like, that they know is against the law, that's against the Constitution, against their freedoms and liberties. They start with protests. And then then they move on to non-compliance. Oh, you want to do that? We're protesting it. You don't want to stop? Then we're going to do non-compliance. And I am not promoting violence. I'm not glamorizing violence. I'm not recommending anyone to do anything dangerous or harmful or illegal or unlawful. But what comes after non-compliance is violence. Either the government moves in with their violence and forces people, punishes people, fines people, jails people, taxes people, or the people say, that's not going to happen. It's up to us, the people. When government fails, the people have to care for themselves. And we'll be talking about that more as this government up in DC continues to fail. Oh my God. Now, folks, look. Yeah, I can't believe they're just throwing softball slow pitches at me to hit out of the park with you guys, looking at the SHTF that these idiots have caused. They've completely caused it. And it's incredible, folks. I'm glad that right now, as we go live, this is a live broadcast for Patreon only. I'm glad you guys are here. We're getting more people signing up, more people coming over because they know the channel on YouTube could be taken down. So down below, if you're watching this on YouTube, there's different links for our different channels, as well as the Patreon channel, as well as the rsyndicate.com, which is everything about being prepared for emergencies and for what these idiots in DC are doing. Now get this. Since we talked last, the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, he sounds like a really competent fella. Just his name alone just inspires confidence. Anyway, he is insisted that Biden worked all weekend, quote, monitoring developments hour by hour as Afghanistan was overrun with Taliban hordes. So basically what he's saying is that all weekend long, he was monitoring the Biden policy fail, 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 and then fail some more. And he has still done absolutely 100% nothing. No help to Americans who are trapped there. Well, other than to tell them to hide, right? No help to the Afghani people. Just left them. There's no destruction of military equipment, so it would not fall into Taliban hands. That includes guns, which, of course, we're not allowed to have as people, who are free. They don't want us to have those. Guns, ammunition. I don't know. How about explosive devices? How about that nice, beautiful drone they left behind? Helicopters, anyone? Oh, they're flying around in our fucking helicopters, you bet. And I suppose President Xi Biden watched and will do nothing about China, who is preparing to take Taiwan. If they're not preparing for it, they're putting on a hell of a show. Is it just an exercise or is it real, right? Is this Memorex watching weak foreign policy play out and people will suffer? There's a difference, folks, between someone who's sitting in an office and someone who is a leader. And what we've got in DC is not a leader. Let's keep moving on, folks. Get your questions into Jolene. Get it in. Get it in. Now, we're worried here in the United States of America. We're worried here, are we not? And I think every one of these topics could end up being a TikTok video. They could all be sensational TikTok videos. Anyways, and you're just not going to believe this. You won't believe this. The Taliban, right, is doing what we're all afraid is going to happen here in the United States. They're moving to confiscate firearms from the civilian population. They're going door to door, door to door to door to door to door. Right? What you got? Okay, hand it over. We're the Taliban. Welcome to totalitarian government. They are not going to stop, folks. And get this. I'm going as fast as I can because I really do want to give you guys the second half of the hour. Like, I get the first half, you guys get the second half. I love doing the Q&A because you guys bring some really cool perspectives. So get your questions in. And we've got a lot more people that are coming to the live broadcasts. We've got new folks, new faces, new comments, new questions, and it's getting good, folks. It's getting nasty, and I'm not happy about it. I'm just very, very excited. Not in a good way. It's scary as hell, folks, right? I mean, I would much rather sit around and talk about, let's see, investment banking and the currency crisis that we're in right now. But you know, this is taking precedent. We've got all of these problems, and Vice President Kamala Harris didn't want to come out and face the country as Afghanistan is failed, right? According to multiple reports, she was asked to address the American people on Sunday about the situation in the newly war-torn country that was rather civilized. I mean, nothing's perfect. It's over there, right? It's Afghanistan. But enough about Afghanistan. Kamala Harris refused to come out, right? Apparently, nobody's going to make her accept responsibility, right? Now, here's what's the deal. Government and elected people, bureaucrats, should always, always, always own their decisions, own their policies. Hey, look, we all make mistakes. Me, you, us, them, everybody. Everybody. Little callback to Blues Brothers. But they won't. They make the stupidest decisions, and then what do? They come out and blame President Trump. Blame President Trump. They come out and blame 16 Republicans. It's their fault. I couldn't believe they came out and blamed Republican congressmen and women because they voted against some pork-ridden pile of shit. But you know, still they get the blame. It's not. Apparently, these 16 Congress people run the Pentagon, run the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and run the White House, as well as the State Department. No, wait a minute. That's the president. Yeah, the guy who claims that he was monitoring everything, probably while he was, I don't know, watching Scooby-Doo and eating a bowl of mush. Absolutely stunning what is going on. And I couldn't believe this. Folks, I can't believe this one. Are you? Shock. It's talk about shock and awe, but it's stupid. It is the stupid shock and awe. And it's not being directed at the Taliban. You think they give a shit what the spokesman for the State Department or the spokesman for the Pentagon says, or the spokesman for the president? Actually, Raggedy Ann, is not doing so well right now. She's taking the week off, whatever her problem is. I don't know, and I don't really care. They are weak, and backwards ass mountain billies from Afghanistan are going to run that country because the decisions made in the White House are shitty. Get this, right? The Biden State Department spokesman calls on the Taliban, folks, to form inclusive and representative government. What do they get? Really? That's what they're going to do? They're calling on the Taliban to form inclusive and representative government. You mean inclusive like the Biden administration and the Secretary of Defense being inclusive of people who disagree with their political philosophy and branding them as extreme, violent, domestic terrorists and extremists and Nazis and white supremacists? That sort of inclusiveness? Or do you think the Taliban is going to say, this is our belief system, and if you don't have that, you're a bad guy, and by the way, we're going to come and get you? Well, our government is coming and getting us. They're labeling us as the bad guys, as white extremists, because we believe in liberty and freedom. Absolutely off the fucking hook. Off the hook. Inclusive and representative. How stupid are these dumb bastards in DC? Literally. They are stupid enough to believe the Taliban would give a cup of goat milk for what DC has to say? No, they wouldn't give a cup of goat milk. It could have been a cup of anything else out of a goat. Doesn't matter, right? The Taliban, folks, will not be inclusive. Just so you're aware. Don't be surprised when they stand up and they're asked that question. Are you going to be inclusive the way the Biden State Department has called for you? And you're going to say, no, right? They're not going to be inclusive. They will not include women, folks. They will not include homosexuals. They will not include transsexuals or anyone else or anything else they find repugnant. It will not be allowed. They are the Taliban. This is the Taliban who are strict adherents to the Quran. Like it or not, they don't give a rat's ass. The Taliban, folks, will stone people to death. I'm not talking getting stoned on some wacky weed. I'm talking about they're going to get stoned to death. They're going to be thrown from buildings. People are going to be decapitated. Or they're just going to execute them with the guns that Joe Biden had the military leave behind. Let me say that again. They're going to execute people with the guns that Joe Biden ordered the military to leave behind. And here we go again. Not only do they want inclusive, but a representative government. Really? Who do the globalists, global docrats, who do they think these people are over in Afghanistan? The Taliban won't give an ounce of donkey crap for what Biden, the State Department, the Pentagon, and the Democrats want concerning their elections or the way their government functions. But that's how fucking stupid they are now, folks. Literally, they're that stupid that they think that, well, we're the United States, so we're going to tell the Taliban, look, we gave you the country, but we expect you to do these things for us because we're the United States of America. The Taliban's like, dude, you guys are censoring people for having an opinion. You think there's no respect here, folks. Right now, the United States government, not you and me, not us, the people. The United States government up there in Washington, D.C., that government in Washington, D.C., very small area that extends control over a vast geographical base. They don't respect them, folks. The Taliban doesn't, and the whole world is laughing at them because they're morons. And they're also shedding tears because people are being murdered. They're going to be beaten. They're going to be sold into slavery. Well, they can call it whatever they want, but it's going to be slavery. When you don't have a choice about what is going to be done to you once you meet your new husband. I mean, just what kind of job are they doing over there? Pentagon spokesman comes out and says, well, 150 Americans were on a plane filled with 640 civilians who were fleeing Afghanistan. I mean, is this Americans first, or is it every man for himself over there? Well, what about the Americans? There's somewhere around 10,000 Americans trapped there. But somehow, essentially, on a plane that holds 640 people, 500 of them were not Americans. And only about 150 were. Did they all just stand up and go, okay, we're going to do Americans first to flee this shithole of a country that President Biden has now turned over into the hands of radical, religious, theocratic people. So who's the American? And everyone just raises their hand. They're all like, we're American. They're like, okay, you can come on. No ID required to prove you're an American. You just have to say, I'm an American, and they'll believe you. I guess that's how it works. Is anyone in charge? Hello, McFly. Is anyone in charge in Washington, D.C.? at the Pentagon. There was no plan for this. Oh, they want to bring thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of Afghanis over here to the United States of America. People that have no idea what our country's about, law, order, constitution. We're just going to, oh, okay, but we can't have political dissidents, according to the communist government of Cuba. They think that anyone that doesn't like communism is a dissident. In other words, people who want to be free, because they want the opposite of communism. They want freedom. We can't have people who want freedom in Cuba who are being persecuted and having all manner of crime committed against them as well. We can't have them come to the United States. Oh, hell no, we can't have that. But we'll take people, infected scumbags from Mexico, and we'll take people from Afghanistan into America. Just stunning, folks. Stunning. And I'm not going to leave this alone, folks. When you're in you're talking about a problem. You're dealing with a problem. You don't let them get up after knocking them down. You keep punching at it. And I'm not hitting the same topic every time. If you notice, everything I'm talking about is a different incident, a different instance, a different example of absolute stupidity. And people out there are wondering, how shit hit the fan? How did this happen? Everything was just fine last week. No, it wasn't. No, we've been cataloging this. I have for decades. You and I have been talking about this where it was, you need to have some emergency provisions. There's a couple ways things can go bad. We got to get ready just in case stuff gets nasty. And now it's like, look, shit has gotten bad. Shit has hit the fan. It is awful. You need to be prepared, folks. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, have all that stuff. Now, it may be less important in parts of Texas or Mississippi, parts of Georgia or parts of Florida, but it's going to be absolutely necessary in places like Chicago, Seattle, Portland, Sacramento, San Francisco Bay Area. Oh, how about New York? How about Atlanta? How about Chicago? How about Pennsylvania? The big cities there, like, I don't know, maybe Pittsburgh and Philly. Yeah, there's going to be some serious problems, folks, because this is the type of crap. This is more Beetlejuice from Chicago type thinking. Only it's being applied on a world stage, and people are like, you're going to do that here? So in Afghanistan, the very first female mayor ever elected says this, right? She's sitting with her family waiting for the Taliban to come and kill her. Oh, yeah, and Joe Biden is on vacation. But no, he's really on the job, minute by minute, watching all of this fail, knowing that these women, folks, the women in Afghanistan are targets, absolute targets. The first female mayor, I'm sure the Taliban took note of that. They know who she is. They know what she said and what she's done. And trust me, there's a penalty. There's always a penalty. Never is there not a penalty when it comes to radical extremists. And am I a radical extremist? No, I'm not. I'm a regular guy. Everyone that meets me, hey, John, you're an all right kind of guy. Race doesn't matter. Age doesn't matter. Gender doesn't matter. Nothing matters. You just be a cool dude. You're good. People in Washington, D.C., they see you as the radical because you want freedom. They want total control, and you oppose it, you're the bad person. You're the bad person. I hope you on Patreon have gotten a hold of Dr. Carrie Maddei's video. There's a lot of good videos and stories and articles that we put up over on Patreon. And you got to be on Patreon to get it, folks. I mean, you get a lot here on YouTube, but on Patreon, you get all of this and the Worldwide Weekly Wrap-Up Uncensored, and you get the zoo, of course, and you get all of the news links. You get extra opinion pieces. You get everything, folks. Patreon is the premium place to go. And for everyone who sent compliments over there and thank yous, I thank you as well, folks. Now, you're not going to believe this. I touched on it a minute ago, but I'm not going to believe this. Actually, you will. After all the stupid I have already outlined, of course you're going to believe this one, right? China has dispatched warships. The ASW aircraft and fighter jets are off the coast of Taiwan. Yeah, I read that right. Following the fall of Afghanistan. Hashtag Biden effect. Yeah, that's the Biden effect. You know what it is? When a government that's powerful acts weak, another government that's powerful is going to act strong. U.S. weak, China is going to act strong. U.S. is backing out. China says, then we'll go in. China's been demanding Taiwan. Taiwan has been begging for help. If the United States can't hold Afghanistan, what are they going to do for Taiwan, folks? This has gotten to me. Now, I've been saying for I don't know how many months, I don't think China's going to take Taiwan. Of course, back when President Trump was in. Well, since Biden has gotten there, he has become weaker, every day it's like less and less of a, I mean, who is this guy? Is he the president or not? Apparently he is, folks. And because he is so weak, the president is weak, folks. The entire cabinet is weak, right? Pete Buttigieg is the Secretary of Transportation. And what, I mean, these people he picked, they're all weak rejects. And slide over to the old military, folks. The Pentagon was asked if it has plans to keep weapons out of the Taliban's hands. Video link at Patreon, right? And here's the response. I don't have an answer to that question. There is no way they don't have an answer to this question, folks. He doesn't want to say that they want the Taliban to be armed with armed munitions and equipment, capable of becoming a bigger threat to the whole world, right? They need an enemy to strike America, I guess, our allies, our bases, so what they can claim Trump, you, me, it's our fault and we're the enemies. Is that what they're doing? Trust me, folks, right? Trust me. The demo-dumbocrats can stretch their thinking and they will believe that it's your fault. My fault because we didn't support Biden, because we don't like to drink tequila, because whatever, right? Whatever. They'll believe anything they need in order to believe they're right and you're wrong, right? Right, yeah. Remember, folks, the Taliban taking over Afghanistan is Trump's fault already in their heads. Absolutely, this is Trump's fault. And again, did the people at the Pentagon, did they not go to military war college? Did they not get bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, doctorates in how to win a war, how to run a military campaign? Did they miss that day when they taught that shit? I thought that was like a whole year, but apparently they missed it and it was only one day. They called in sick. You don't keep weapons in your enemy's hands. You make sure to keep weapons out of their hands, especially people like the Taliban hand. And he says, I don't have an answer to that question. Unbelievable. I mean, everything I've read today, folks, has set me back in the chair and shocked me. So he says, I don't have an answer to that question. While Taliban fighters with a helicopter filled with weapons take a joyride over Herat, Afghanistan. Got video and pictures, folks, of them taking a joyride with our equipment and our weapons, having a good old time, right? The Taliban do not give two squirts of piss about cerveza bug, folks. If this causes a hot war, will anyone anywhere give a rat's ass about the cerveza bug? Not in those areas where these radical lunatics are running around loose. The whole world, folks, all of a sudden has lost its mind, apparently. We're going to lock this country down because someone sneezed. Over in this country, we're going to supply an enemy of freedom and liberty with weapons. Over in this country, which was based on liberty and freedom, we're going to demand that they give up their weapons to the government, DC. Over in this country where people are peaceful and pay their taxes, we're going to call them the radical extremists, radical violent, domestic violent extremists, the DVEs. That's what the people of America are if they like freedom. They're bad. Taliban, good. Give them guns. Facepalm. Good golly. Folks, I still got a massive list of stuff, and we're at 30 minutes. right? Oh, I can't help it, right? The spokesman for the Pentagon said Kabul, this is days ago, was not it wasn't an imminent threat environment. That was just 3 days ago. Here, lessons to us all. Things can change fast, folks. This is a big SHTF world we live in. Things can change fast. Not a threat becomes an invasion on a capital in 3 days. Not an imminent threat environment. Whoops, we're occupied. Yeah, lesson, government is idiotic, and it is fluidly capable of 180 degree changes, right, folks? And let's just apply that to the world we live in, right? In SHTF, we could see changes so dramatic that it will stun us. So be ready to improvise and adapt to any environment where the government has taken action, right? They could be handing out loaves of bread one day and shooting citizens the next, literally. Learn your lessons now based on what we're seeing in Afghanistan, Taiwan, all around the world, folks. Everyone, it's okay. You can come out and be free. You can go to the store. You can go to the restaurant. You can go to the beach. And the next day, they're screaming and yelling, lockdown, lockdown, someone sneezed. That's how fast, folks, things can change. Oh, yeah, people, they went out and they were drinking tequila. They were getting some tequila shots left and right. Next thing you know, they're told that it doesn't matter. You're still getting locked down. I'm going to stop here on this one. I'm going to give it to you. In the Pentagon in the United States of America, a reporter, an Afghan reporter, was at the Pentagon press conference on future for women under the Taliban in Afghanistan. And the spokesman, right? Nothing the government's going to do, nothing they can do, right? The female Afghan reporter just breaks down, falls to pieces, right? Tears. You know, she remarked, right, that after the U.S. came in, you know, women got to be free. Knowing what is in store for Afghan women, that they are going to be oppressed, suppressed, censored, silenced, shut your pie hole, put your burqa on, right? You better get someone to escort you around or you could be raped. Right? Oh, you don't have a caretaker, then you can be taken as a slave. Right? Oh, you're only 12. I don't care. You're going to get married to someone else anyway. Right? All of these things that the Afghan women know are coming for them because of the Taliban. And so the spokesperson for the Pentagon, John Kirby, his response was, I understand. Let me repeat his response because it was just brilliant. Knowing that the decision made by the United States president and the Pentagon working together on just a brilliant, incredible plan. Brilliant, incredible plan for Afghanistan. He knew that it would include exactly what this lady's fears are, and everyone in Afghanistan, all the females, their fears, their worries, their concerns, their losses. He says, I understand. Meaning he knows exactly what they did and what they've condemned the people in Afghanistan to live under with the Taliban, and pull out the military and screw all the Americans there and screw all the Afghans that wanted to be free, because now they're going to be theocratic targets. Remember, they have a theocracy. It's going to be a caliphate. It's going to be a religiously run government. It's really not much different than our government, folks. It's either going door to door and collecting weapons in Afghanistan. Our government wants to go door to door and collect weapons in the United States. Over there, they want to tell people what they can and can't say. Over here in the United States, the government, the mainstream media, and big tech will tell you what you can and can't say. Censorship, right? Over there, if you make a mistake, break the law, you can be for the simplest, smallest crime. You can be thrown in jail forever, tortured and abused. Over in the United States of America, if you trespass in the Capitol building, even though you've been invited in by the police, you can be arrested, jailed, beaten, and treated to inhumane conditions. That's the United States of America in Washington, D.C., folks. You think there's a problem here? You think there's a problem here? It has just begun. I keep telling you, folks, I understand. Things are going to get a lot worse. What do you think, folks? This news article ended with the barbarians return to Afghanistan. What did I just describe about Washington, D.C.? That they want to put Americans in camps, call them re-education camps, call them deprogramming camps. That's not barbaric. What does that have to do with freedom? What does that have to do with the Declaration of Independence? What does that have to do with the Constitution? What does that have to do with human rights? I'll tell you what it has to do with all of those things. Human rights, Declaration, Constitution. It has to do with the United States government absolutely shitting all over all of that and ignoring it and claiming that because there's some kind of emergency, they can do that. Because they have a belief that you're bad. They can just violate all your rights. Due process, gone. Search and seizure laws, gone. Arrest, gone. Warrants, gone. They don't need any of that stuff. They just need to know you're the bad guy. The bad guy's there, right? Screw your freedoms, says Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, you're right. Everything is fine. Everything is normal, folks. I don't even know what I'm doing here. I'm going to go get a job at Ace Hardware selling spatulas, or maybe I'll get a job, I don't know. What am I qualified to do, right? I don't know. Maybe I know. I can go be a receptionist in Silicon Valley. I think I'll move back to California because there's no problems here. Everything's just fine. There's no problems, right, Jolene? Anyways, folks, let's get to your questions. I know I went a little bit long. I tried not to. I couldn't help it. There's a lot more that I want to talk about, but I do want to get to what you want to talk about, because what you want to talk about is going to be a big deal as well. I am just... All right. We got John Lord. He says, ooh, boo-boo released the Gitmo Taliban, who is now the leader in Afghanistan. They gave up other people as appeasement, and instead we are getting yeah. And John says, and instead we are getting Carter and the Ayatollah and U.S. peeps. Yeah, here we are, right? People that were captured were released by Obama. And now they're going to make sure everything is just fine. I've got no worries about it. I do got big worries about it, folks. It's incredible. Mike Landakos says this: the Taliban now have more Black Hawk helicopters and other advanced equipment to include howitzers, tanks, and rifles than nearly half of the nations around the globe. They abandoned all kinds of equipment. Certainly, it is way more than they ever had in the past. You could probably take every helicopter, every tank, every gun, every rifle that they had there. I don't think they ever had any of their own helicopters. I think the only helicopters they may have had are some Hind helicopters that the Soviets left behind. But I'm sure the Soviet Union, when they left Afghanistan, which was kind of like their Vietnam, I'm sure they were like, you know what? Disable that thing. Don't leave a single part on there that they can use. I don't even want a speedometer that they could take off and strap onto a motorcycle or a donkey's ass, right? That's it. But yep, the Taliban now has more helicopters, Black Hawks, doesn't matter, right? They've got equipment now. I bet they even have spare parts sitting there in crates too. All they got to do is figure out how to put gas, right, fuel in the gas tank. That's all they got to worry about. I really doubt for a lot of these very high-tech pieces of equipment that they're not going to be able to keep them airborne very long. Or can they? All right, let's move on if we shall, folks. I know we got a lot to talk about here. I mean, I'm looking at all kinds of shit I want to talk about, but I want to get to your stuff. It's bad. Yeah. All that equipment they have, it's now theirs. It's not like Joe Biden can send Kamala Harris all the way over to Afghanistan and take him to small claims court and say, hey, can we have our helicopters back? Yeah, here's the serial number. Here's where we paid for this, right? Yeah, that came from Bell Helicopter right there. Shows we paid for it, matches those serial numbers. We want our helicopter back. I'm Kamala Harris. I approve this message. Nope, not going to happen. All right, Jolene, what do we got for the next? Oh, shit. Jolene has disappeared. She left the building. Wow. I really hope that her power didn't go out because, well, it says she's back on now. I hope. Next question, Jolene. Hopefully, yeah, hopefully that's not a Pentagon spokesman is taking over Jolene's desk and putting up questions that make no sense. Nope, this is a real one. It's Dangerous Freedom. He says, what is going on in Afghanistan? How long before we see a false waving of the flag to distract the U.S. people from the failure of the Biden administration? Well, everyone knows it. Everyone sees it. Anyone that's paying attention understands it. I believe that this is a false flag, that this was done intentionally. It was done to distract the world because something else is happening and is going to happen. This is what I like to call a destabilizing event. A destabilizing event. Follow me here on this discussion of Hegelian dialect. A destabilizing event encourages bad players to come out. It's upsetting people out here in our country, both Democrats and Republicans. It's got me excited, meaning my heart rate's up and everything else, but I'm not mad. I'm not angry. I don't see the weak United States government as an opportunity to go up there and cause some sort of violence in this country. That's what they're going to say is, well, you know, if something bad happens here, they're going to say, see, the government looked weak and the radical militia type oath keepers out there, they're the bad guys. They did this. This is a destabilizing event that is meant to cause more instability and more events to occur on a global scale. Global scale, folks. It can happen anywhere, and they can point to Afghanistan. When they can point to Afghanistan and say, well, that's Joe Biden's fault. So is it Joe Biden's fault that something bad happened in Australia or Europe or in the United States? Right? He can say, I made a mistake over there, but I didn't cause this shit here. But it is a destabilizing event. It's distracting also. Every eyes are on Afghanistan. What's going on in the United States? Well, California is burning to the ground. Biggest fire there ever is still raging. Raging, folks. I had people that I know send pictures. They're like, it's terrifying everyone, folks. I guess the government figures, well, when it gets to Nevada, I guess Nevada won't burn because it doesn't have trees. Well, it has scrub brush. It has it has tumbleweeds and sagebrush. I guess, yeah, that burns too. This is a burn all the way to the Rocky Mountains before they do something about it. Crazy stuff. Anyways, I know that there are people that are working hard trying to put this thing out, but yeah, trouble we got. Anyways, back to destabilizing events. Expect more of them. We've been told we're going to have power outages in the United States by the Secretary of Energy. We've witnessed fuel disruptions because of hacking and ransomware. And of course, the Biden government didn't say anything for days till they came out and said, hey, it's a private matter. We don't care. Not our problem. Not a national security issue that the whole freaking country can't get fuel. And someone wants to say, John, you said the military might hand out loaves of bread and start shooting people next. The military would never hand out loaves of bread. They would never need to. America's the land of plenty. Yeah, land of plenty run by idiots. We got a plenty of them in there. Anyways, let's move on if we shall. Steve, USMC, no tolerance. Steve, Semper Fi, brother. He says this, when we left Nam, that would be the Vietnam Nam, in 1975, we had a plan to do so, and we failed. For Biden to leave in the middle of the night with no plan makes me sick. I never thought I would see this 2 times in my life. I'm sorry you had to see this twice, Steve. I really am. I'm sorry that you've had to see this twice, man. And I think that what's happening right now is worse than Saigon. Because there's no plan, or because the plan is so bad that they intentionally wanted all of these things to happen. The indignities, the suffering, the horror, the death that is going to occur in Afghanistan. They're going to allow a lot of the media to film it and distribute it for the purposes of their propaganda, to make their caliphate look impressively Muslim. That's what they're going to do, folks. They want everyone to know how draconian. They want everyone to know how brutal they are. They want all of their citizens to shake and cower in fear. And that's what the Taliban is. Now, what is the United States government doing? What are the governors doing? They are threatening everyone. Do this or else. Do this or else. Get in your homes or else. You can't leave unless we say. You must do this. You must do that or else. They want us to cower in fear. If you don't do as we say, we're going to come and arrest you. If you don't do as we say, we're going to punish you. We're going to ruin your business. That's pretty damn close to the Taliban. If you don't do as we say, we'll just kill you, right? If you don't do as the Taliban says, folks, they can just take your house. They can take your car. They can take your property. They can take what? They're the Taliban. They are supreme in Afghanistan. The Taliban are supreme. So is the United States government up in Washington, D.C. They think they're supreme. They think they can do anything they want, and you can't stop them. You have no right, no say in anything. Do as they say. Believe what they say. They're going to mandate it. It's not going to get better, folks. Todd and Prepared said, if you think this is bad, you haven't seen anything yet. You better get ready because America is a laughing stock. You mean, so you're saying is if I think this is bad, you haven't even begun to laugh yet? Yeah, it's a laughing stock. America is not a laughing stock. I'm going to take this back. I'm going to have to correct you a little bit for the purposes of clarification, not because you're wrong. The United States is a laughing stock. The United States of America is we the people, the 50 states. The laughing stock is the government in charge of all of that in DC, and the government's in charge of Democrat states. They're the laughing stocks. They are. They are continuing to use on every level terror tactics on the people. Do you think that letting in 1 million Mexicans flooding across the border, do you think letting them in is not a terror tactic? It's not a form of punishment. It's not a form of intentional invasion. It just is, folks. Matter of fact, it is. What would you think if they let in 1 million people who are Chinese military? Would you be happy about that? What about 1 million Russians? Would you be worried about that? Well, we want to know what they are, John. We want to know who they are. We want to know what their intentions are. What are they doing here? Why'd they come? We need to have their names and addresses and who sponsored them. Where are they going to live? What are they going to do for food? Are they going to tax our medical system? You would ask this if I talked about the Chinese or the Russians or anyone else. But no, let them in. It is absolutely an intentional. They have a desired effect they want. You never let a crisis go to waste. How many crises do we have right now? Crisis, monetary, poof. Crisis, military. Crisis, monetary. Crisis, Wall Street. Crisis. We've got a lot of crisis going on, folks. A lot of crisis. So Sally Sue says this, 1 second. Need to put a little box of stuff right there. Okay. Sally Sue says, so much is going on all at once. Afghanistan. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Lebanon. Whoops. Yes. Thank you. China, Taiwan. Yeah, you got it there, Sally Sue. South Africa. Oops. Yeah, we haven't been talking about that all day, have we? South Africa. Remember that? Another Marxist move to cry racist and then use race as the base for wanting to steal other people's property and murder them. Yeah, South Africa. And of course, in our United States, right? All at once, folks. Well, you know what you left out, Sally Sue, is you left out England, Ireland, Spain, you left out France, you left out Italy, you left out Germany. You left out all of the horrors and tragedies that occur in Scandinavia, all the Scandinavian countries. What about the Ukraine? Oh, yeah, there's a lot out there. And I'm not picking on you, Sally Sue. You put down enough to make the point, right? All at once, all around the world, we have tragedies occurring. We have collapse occurring. And we're supposed to believe everything is fine if you just go get some tequila. That's all you got to do is get some tequila and everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. Sorry, folks, just needed to get a tool handy. Okay, let's do this. Sally Sue asks, and so much more. Would you consider a video surmising current events? Oh, yeah, well, I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to do that. What I would have to do is I would maybe draw a world map, do a Board of Truth presentation, and point out all of the countries and discuss what's going on in each country and why and what the apparent agenda is. I mean, I'd consider doing that. Let's go ahead and send an email off to Jolene or make a comment on Patreon, and I'll see if I can run that through the meat grinder between my ears and what kind of presentation I could come up with. Oh, there's a problem, folks, with Hong Kong. When was the last time anyone talked about Hong Kong? Hong Kong economics, Hong Kong civil liberties. What's going on in the Koreas right now? What's going on in Australia? How about India? India and Pakistan, India and China. What else is going on? We got a lot going on in many countries around the world. And there's a lot of stuff going on that even as well-informed as we are, we're not paying any attention to it. I mean, there's shit going on, folks. And people are like, see how bad it is over here? And they can't get anyone's attention because of everything else that is going wrong. Anyways, we got Mike Landakis here. He says, John, he said, the Taliban shouldn't be underestimated. Many of them go to Western nations and earn degrees, then go back. While many of their foot soldiers may seem like hillbillies, they have great minds. Mike, my intent was not to say that they're not intelligent, they're not dangerous, right? My intent there was to describe them in a way that we are being led to believe by our big bosses in DC. We're supposed to believe that they're a bunch of ignorant, stupid hillbillies. You know, that's what we're supposed to believe about them. Now, many of them just are. I've seen enough videos. I've seen enough interviews. A lot of these people are just absolutely, they haven't had any education in life. I mean, we've been there in the United States of America almost 20 years. Whatever schooling and education they have has just been totally disrupted. But that's not to say that there aren't many of them who had money or wealth and were able to leave the country or send their kids to get educations. Many of them have been trained by the military to repair these pieces of equipment, because when the United States was supposed to leave in a very good way and leave the government of Afghanistan in place with their own police and military, they were going to need to be able to take care of their own equipment, their own aircraft, etc. So they were being educated on this stuff, yes. Same with the civilian population. They were being trained, right? We're trying to westernize Afghanistan. Trying to westernize Afghanistan. And so, yeah, I'm not saying that they've got low IQs and they're incapable of doing anything other than chasing a goat up and down hills so that they could get milk from it. But yeah, many of them are. But we're supposed to believe they're a bunch of crazy wackos. At the same time, though, and in defense of the crazy wackos, they're the ones who at least morally appear to be crazy wackos when they stand up and say, now it's time for everyone to lose their heads that we don't like. Except they're not crazy wackos, are they? They're smart enough to make our media, our big tech, and our government look every bit as barbaric and asinine as they do. And we demonstrated that earlier, right? I demonstrated that earlier because the Taliban spokesman pointed out exactly how corrupt our government, our media, and our big tech companies are, because they're doing the same thing that the Taliban is about to do with regard to censorship and silencing people and opposition and punishing them and crushing them. You bet. Yeah. And this is, let's see if I can go here in a thoughtful way. Afghanistan is not, was not, and has never been as civilized and cosmopolitan as France has been for the last 100 years, minus World War II, minus World War I. Right? They've never been as civilized and sophisticated as Japan, except for World War II. And I think the point in bringing up the fact they've never gotten there is because of the corruption. But it was also equally important to point out how even the most civilized countries, France, the United States, Germany, Japan, the rest of the world, managed to get into massive wars because of corruption, ignorance, greed, and stupidity on the part of leaders you never hear about. Right, Springfield, Illinois, starting World War VI. You won't hear that. It's not small leaders that cause these problems. It's big time assholes. Big time assholes. We got Blue Cord Devil here. He says, Biden administration just said it cannot guarantee Americans' safety to the airport. Oh yeah, you bet. You may have missed it, Mr. Blue Cord Devil, but I think that I got an even better quote out of these idiots. They said they're not going to send help, right? You said they're not going to guarantee. Well, they can't guarantee it, nor are they even willing to help, right? Has no plans to help Americans, much less, as you suggest, that they guarantee it. Absolutely mind-boggling. In the last video I did, prior to this video, funny how that works. What did we talk about? Talked about just Iran took 444 hostages, American hostages, out of the American embassy in Iran. All those hostages. And weak, ineffective Jimmy Carter, Democrat dumbass, President of the United States. Failed, right? And now we have somewhere around 10,000 Americans, give or take. Is anyone keeping track of them? Does everyone know their names? Who the hell was in Afghanistan? This is far worse than any of that, folks. And it was done. It was done intentionally, and it was done arrogantly, and it was done ignorantly. Way to go. So we got Tennessee Mountain Preparedness checks in. He says, do you think the Secretary of Defense will step down or get fired? The answer is no. I do not think that. It can happen. I won't rule out the potential or possibility of that, but I don't think he will. Because, well, I think I read somewhere that all of this is Joe Biden. He's not going to allow anyone else to accept blame for it. And that I may have even read that he was advised against doing this. I don't think Joe Biden knows what planet he's on, much less what flavor of ice cream he's nibbling on at any given moment. Right? You have the entire Joint Chiefs of Staff, the Secretary of Defense, the President's Cabinet, the President. All of these people are supposed to be in on this together. And I don't think they're going to allow dumbass Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, I believe is his name. I don't think they're going to let him be the fall guy for this. The Secretary of Defense doesn't have that kind of power. He is a complete abject moron and stooge. None of these people, folks, they aren't even good movie villains. They're just idiots. It's incredible. Anyways, Heidi checks in. Heidi checks in, says Afghanistan broke the Soviet Union, and it seems that it's our turn now. I was afraid of that when we went over there. That's a really good observation, Heidi. Yeah, Afghanistan, as described earlier, was the Soviet Union's Vietnam. Only the Afghanis don't have the benefit of hiding in the jungle, the Ho Chi Minh Trail, or anything else. It was a complete mess back then, and the Soviets finally gave up on Afghanistan. I mean, they control what? Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan. They've got all of those other stands, but Afghanistan didn't like them, doesn't want them, and defeated them. Now, the United States of America, why did we pull out? Is it that we don't have enough wealth, that there is no benefit to it anymore? Did anyone even catch why Joe Biden said we need to get out of there? I know that President Trump was like, we need to bring troops home, we need to get out, right? But you don't do that you don't make a decision over a bowl of Rocky Road ice cream. You just don't do it. Wouldn't be prudent. But that's apparently what happened. And we didn't really get an answer. I never figured out, why are we leaving Afghanistan in such a hurry? Right? Did our lease run out? I don't understand. All of the people that are going to suffer, the country's going to be just thrown right back into the dark ages. What was the reasoning? Literally, I don't fucking know. What was the reasoning? All right, Fourth Dimension checks in. This is Big Kaz, and Kaz is responsible, folks, for some of the great new graphic art that has been created. I want to thank Mr. Kaz for that. You did a fantastic job making sure that we've got really good graphics. Thank you, Kaz. Terrific job, man. Terrific job. Anyways, he says this: during Trump, the Joint Chiefs made comments they would keep Trump from making any world-altering events. Now those same Joint Chiefs of Staff applaud this potato. That would be Joe Biden. The entire brass is corrupt. By brass, that is a term used to describe officers in military service, because instead of stripes, they get brass. Like a lieutenant and captain and major and lieutenant colonel. That's the brass. So yeah, the brass. It appears that they were going to stop Trump, who, by the way, did not get us in war with North Korea. Did not get us into a war with Iran, did not get us into a war in Syria. In fact, he cooled all those things down. Interesting, huh? But of course, the brass at the Pentagon said they wouldn't let him make any world-altering events. Do you think what's going on now is a world-altering event? Well, you bet your ass it is. China and Taiwan, North and South Korea. Oh yeah, Syria, folks, is still all over the table. Syria, Turkey, Israel, Palestine, Iran. Hello. Right, how about Ukraine, Russia, Europe? And that's just the stuff that's military. Not even talking about the non-government organizations that are pushing policies in countries trying to destroy them. Romania, Hungary, Poland. All right, my other brother Daryl checks in. And he says, I got here late, but I have a question, if not already answered. Do you think the Afghanistan situation is ultimately to bring in the refugees to really cause craziness? We did touch on that, and the answer is, yeah, they would love to do that. They can't even figure out how to evacuate Americans. How did they not know that they've got that many people over there that are American and just fly in military cargo jets? One after another. No one gets first class when you abandon a country like Afghanistan. But pile into this big giant jet and we'll get you out of here at the very least. Right? What are all of our planes doing, when they could be over there rescuing Americans? It's absolutely crazy, folks. Anyways, yeah, they do want to bring back Afghanis, I'm sure, because we need more instability here in the United States of America, I guess. We need more of that. It's stunning, folks. It's stunning. We are past an hour. Do we have some more questions here? Jolene, and I want to thank everyone for the fantastic questions and for listening to my monologue. Folks, you've been sending me just information, trying to keep up with it, catalog it, and not pull my hair out. It's all there. It kept me busy, though, all day, every day. And here at the Prepared Mind, that is our job. What is going on in the world? What do we need to pay attention to? What is happening? I wish I could say, hey, look, everything was great in Afghanistan. Relax. Everything is great on Wall Street. You can clap. Good job, Wall Street. We've got lots of manufacturing jobs. Fantastic. Everyone's happy in the cities and the states they're in. There's no real problem. But no, we have a huge internal migration crisis. People trying to move to places that are free. Hey, cerveza bug gone. Everyone can just chill, throw away your face diapers, no problem. Nope, we don't have that situation. They're trying to ramp everything up. Everything is ramp up, ramp up, ramp up, ramp up. I'm not calling, asking, wishing, wanting shit at the fan, but it happened. So now what? Well, make sure you have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Make sure you have a plan for what's happening. Could happen in your 10-mile radius. Make sure you've got a plan. Yep, that's where we're at, folks. Shit can get nasty. It can change anytime. Anytime. Lights out, you bet. Bad guys on the streets, remember them? Remember BLM Antifa? They're still here. They could smack, start smacking people. Who knows what is next? All I know is we need to pay attention. We need to help our neighbors, our coworkers, our friends and family. We need to help them see what's going on. So I ask you to share these videos. Wake up. Right? Wake up. Get prepared. Understand things aren't great. And only those that wake up and get prepared, folks, only they will be able to think clearly and worry a lot less. For everyone else, they're not going to be thinking very clearly. They're going to be worrying 24/7. They have no clue what's coming. No idea. No idea of the potential. They're going to probably sit there for a fucking week going, well, when's the government going to help out? Well, hey, pal, did you see what they did to the Americans in Afghanistan? They told them, we ain't got nothing for you. Good luck. Why don't you try hiding for a while? Yeah, if they'll abandon Americans in Afghanistan, they will abandon us here to SHTF conditions. Get ready for it, folks. I don't like it. It's pissing me off. I would much rather be talking about something else. But this is what we got. Chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. Semper Fi, Godspeed. Stunning.